at KEZY, I worked there for free, after they demolished or got rid of the people's phone, as it were. And the people's phone was a person who would, like I say, answer the phones, but also make sure that they changed the tapes on the automated machines and stuff like that. The AM still at that time was pretty much an AM, a little bit different because Rick Carroll used to program that station. The guy who, created the K-Rock kind of format. But anyway, I, just kept on doing what I'm doing. Some people say, they're just taking advantage of you. Not getting, no, I'm loving what I'm doing. I'd get to go to concerts. It's like, this is just great. And one day the program director there, Dave Foreman, said, make me a tape. And I thought, shit, here we go with this tape. He's going to say, you don't have a chance. It's like, whatever. And I made him the tape, and he said, you're on the air next weekend.
Love it.
So I was on the air next weekend. I worked like 3 weekends, and then he promoted me to nighttime, and I never left.
It wasn't 12 to 3 a.m.
Actually, when I first started doing stuff, I'd run the board like 12 to 6. And they'd have like all these special programming, and like every now and then I'd get a call and goes, oh, that was nice. Good thought, putting that song, the Beatles song or that Zone song or something in between those two, just to make sure that music content, like, oh, good, somebody's listening, but Dave just gave me such a tremendous break. And also at KEZY, I had the opportunity to really get into news. That was something that I really wanted to do. So he allowed me to do that. We'd go out and do interviews, and unfortunately he passed away, but he saw me go to KLOS, and he was there one day, got to see me in my office, and it was just like, he was just shaking his head, and it's like, it's because of you, dude. It's because of you, man. I know.
So directly from KEZY to KLOS.
Yes. That doesn't really happen. So there were like a lot of people that worked there, like Shauna. I actually took Shauna's place because I think she went up to KLOS. But Steve Downs worked there for a while in between. And Steve was just amazing. Another extremely talented and great individual. A lot of great people there. Yeah. There's that part where you go through, at least I did. I don't know, maybe I'm just sensitive empath or something, but there'd be people that would work all their lives just to be able to get to KEZY, and here I, and so there was that part where I feel guilty about it, and it took me a long time to get over that, to be honest with you.
And you clearly have the drive. Someone told you you're not qualified for this. You kept going. Someone said, we're not going to pay you. We're going to cut your job. You're like, I'm still showing up.
Yeah.
This is something, clearly this is something that you had to have.
Maybe, that it's that bolt of lightning that hit, and it was like, yeah, that's where I'm supposed to be. Radio.
You could talk about being grateful, which I understand, but it's not luck by any means. You obviously earned it. I mean, nobody was doing you the favor. I mean, people discovered you were great at it, and the passion for it.
Yeah, I think that was probably more than anything what got me there. It was just my desire and that pure passion for it, and I always tell people, if it's your dream, if it's your love, then do it. Push it as hard as you can to try and do it. Some people weren't as fortunate, as I got to go to KLOS and stayed there for, God, 20 something years.
When did that happen? You're at KEZY, and when did someone say, did someone pluck you from there? Or was it like, I'm ready for the big time?
Actually, the general manager and the PD told me that, it looks like the buildings were going to sell. So you might want to try to start putting out feelers and stuff like that. And I had, oh my God, no, it's over, and it's like, oh, I knew it was too good to last. And, but it was funny, like before I got on air at KEZY, there was a guy that I know who was recording on the music for the FM station, who was also doing production work at K-Rock. And he said, would you have an interest in working at K-Rock doing production? And I said, sure. I don't know anything about production, but I'll learn.
Right.
And Rick Carroll was at the station then and got a great recommendation. And somebody at KEZY found about it and said, I guess that's why we're going to put you on the air next week. And then at KEZY, when that ended, they said that it was basically going to be sold. So I put out a couple of types. I had a talk with somebody at KMT, which was my station. That's where I wanted. I loved KMT because of my mentors being there. But also KLOS was really starting to change. And I sent a tape, and Tommy Hedges called me and interviewed myself and Frank DeSantis the same day and said, we're looking for a weekend talent. Would you guys be willing to? Yeah. And I said, well, could I still work at my other station? They said, as long as your other station is fine with it, because this would be on weekends. So I continued to work at KEZY and weekends at KLOS. That lasted for about 3-4 months. But I remember that interview also, Tommy said, and I need somebody to work tonight. Okay. Yeah, it's like, I'll do it. God, it's so crazy. I remember the first song I played, Steve Downs was on before me and tell me what I needed to do. And in those days, they had an engineer that ran everything. You couldn't queue up your own record. You had to wait for them to hit the record. It's like, no, that's messing up the segue. Oh no. But the first song I played was LA Woman from The Doors. And it was just like, okay, this is great. It's perfect.
What year?
That was January 28th, 1983.
Wait a second. Hold on. I'm doing some math here.
Is today the 28th?
What is today?
Today's the 27th.
Oh my God. So yeah, almost.
Okay, so we're
40 years.
It'll be,
Well, I'm not there. Yeah. I've been there for 3 years now, but 40. Yeah.
But it was 40 years ago. Yeah. So
Yeah. Wow. That's weird. And I remember a really bad El Nino situation. I don't know how old you folks are, how young you are, but when that El Nino situation in 83 flooded the freeways, and I had like this little MGB card. It was like at any point I'd be going down the freeway and it would just stop, but fortunately it didn't happen when I was on my way to work. So.
all right. So you said KMET was your favorite station and KLOS was making changes. What was the difference between the two? You were, I guess, you KMET team KMET at the time. Why was that? What was the difference between those two stations?
Well, I guess, that at the time KMET was slowly starting to change and some of the magic, I guess, had been wearing off. But when I, like in the late 70s, like listened to Paraquat Kelly and Murray Turner and, Jim Ladd and Bob Coburn, people like that. It was just the spirit that, they really, I'm a very political person, I guess. Also, I love politics, and that kind of shaped me, how I went about with my thinking and my beliefs and so forth. So, they do like Survival Sunday, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to that. The anti-nuke stuff and stuff like that. So some of those artists that were bonded in that kind of frame were huge influences, like Jackson Browne and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
that is a good. We had a conversation with another radio legend, and so we were talking about embodying the personalities of a radio station, embodying the station itself, the music and the values, and we talked about it in relation to K-Rock and some of the alternative stations. But yeah, it's a very good observation with KMET. They definitely embodied that vibe.
Yes.
Yeah, the personalities too. Yeah.
And I loved, what KLOS was doing, and I was able to do a lot more things with that. They did the blood drive, and then we'd blow that up to become like a thing where, you'd get free concert tickets if you, donated a pint of blood. And did some tremendous things for the American Red Cross, and the things that were really important to me were like things like with veterans, things, people going through earthquakes or floods. Nil Kane Benton was the, I forget her official title at KLOS. She was KLOS KBC, but it was like, let's make a difference. Let's do it. Let's make a difference. And it was like, yeah, whatever we can do, you let me know and we'll do it, you know. So it was wonderful to be a part of those things and to see so many, you know, see the spirit of people and true goodness and true humanity of wanting to be a part of something, you know.
You saw a lot of people come and go during your years at KLOS.
Oh, yes, I did.
And I was going to ask your favorite, an era that you loved, and that the people that you worked with, or who you were closest to. Mark and Brian, you had a good.
I loved working with Mark and Brian. They really taught me a lot. I think I was a bit too serious, maybe sometimes, you know, growing up. When you lose your most important, you know, person to you, to me it was my father, at 13. You know, it really messes up your head, especially if you're involved next in a cultural shock of moving from a small town in Georgia to Southern California. It's like, oh, this is totally different, and it took a while for me to fit in, to acclimate, and stuff like that. And I just got off the train and lost my train of thought, and I'm waiting for the train to come back around again to remind myself what I was.
Oh, Mark and Brian, you're too serious for Mark and Brian.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. I really learned that from them, you know, to laugh a lot more. I heard your podcast with Mark, you know, in his book, and, you know, just some of the times that, you know, he was talking about and working with them in the studio. You know, Mark is a fantastic storyteller, just brilliant with that. And Brian, one of the funniest people I have ever met or been around. I mean, he's like, to me, Robin Williams funny. I mean, just off the top of his head, you know, and it was just pure magic, and so many different things of pure magic in there. Like that time Mark talks in his book about Stevie Nicks being in the studio singing Landslide, and I'm running the board, and, you know, and I'm hearing that. And to me, when music makes me, it's that feeling you get of, oh my God, this is like heaven. This is like one of the most incredible highs you will ever feel or ever experience, of hearing somebody sing or a song that means so much to you. But when she did Landslide, my God, I looked at Brian and we both about just lost it, you know, with choked up with emotion. It was just beautiful, but so many great times with them. I really appreciated that. Probably my most fun time at KLOS was when I became music director. I never really wanted to be a program director. Music director was all that it was for me. It was like just to be around the music, you know, and like I said, to meet my heroes and stuff like that. I mean, that was just great stuff.